Good morning, everyone. Happy Friday. Welcome to a new episode of Updates from London. I'm Emanuele Barrasso, the Secretary of the Roosevelt Movement UK, and my special guest today is Claudio Restante. Hi, Claudio.
Hi, Emanuele. Hello, everyone.
Claudio is a fellow Roosevelt Movement UK member and also a great mobile technology expert. So, Claudio, thanks so much for being here today. Thanks for spending the next 45 minutes, hour with us or so. So let's talk about today's topic is about 5G, and especially the UK's 5G and the Chinese company Huawei. It has been in the news for the past few days because after much decision, Boris Johnson decided that all mobile providers had to stop buying any 5G infrastructure from Huawei by the end of the year, and then all the different networks have to be stripped off of all the 5G infrastructure furnished by Huawei by 2027. Before we delve into, because you are a mobile technology expert, I thought I would just ask you the first question right off the bat. Can you explain to us what is 5G and how it can affect some people's lives, how useful it is? What's the difference, for example, between 3G, 4G, and 5G? Just to give like an overview before we delve straight into our topic today.
Yes. First of all, thank you for inviting me today. We're going to go through some answers, but also we will ask some questions today. The first question people are asking, why now we're having this problem with technology and with 5G. What is concerning Trump about this technology? Let's start looking at the technology itself and why is causing these concerns. 5G is a mobile technology, exactly the same type of the 3G and 4G, where for the G, it means generation. Some people tend to, when we think about 5G, some of us think, oh, I got already at home a Wi-Fi router, which is 5G. That's not exactly the same. The routers we have at home is working on 5 gigahertz, and this is fifth generation of network. From a user point of view, the introduction of this technology will bring a lot of improvements. First of all, we will be able to have more devices connected at the same time. The actual technology, the 4G, has a limit on the number of devices. 5G will be more present on every single technological device that needs to be connected. So we will need more capacity. The other thing, the other improvement will be speed. 5G will be much more fast than actual 4G. And the other improvement, which is not known, but is very important, is called latency. Latency is the time that it takes for when we make a request on the internet, which can be request a website through the browser, is the time the server takes to respond. So say, for example, me and you we are talking, and you are very fast talker. you can speak very fast,
I am.
but I ask you a question and then you answer after 10 seconds. From a user point of view, this is not acceptable. So this is latency, and this has impact on, for example, on the video streaming or online gaming as well. So when we use our game controller, we want to make sure that when I press the fire button, my rocket starts, that
Okay.
fires exactly at the same moment, at that moment. On the practical life, this has an impact, not only for everyday life, but also, for example, on health system. For example, some doctors would be able to take some actions on the patients because reliability will increase.
Yeah.
And this is thank you to this new technology. Um, is an infrastructure,
Yeah.
so we need hardware to be put in installed quite
Shall we show the?
everywhere.
Shall we? Guys, sorry to interrupt you. Shall we show the first picture, the one you?
Yeah. With the first picture, we'll see
So
how.
we can sort of allow them to visualize how Fiji works. There you go.
Yes, exactly. And this is what will be all the areas where the 5G um, will be affected by 5G. Let's think about, for example, autonomous drive, self-driving cars. We rely on 5G, on fast connection. Um, Even farming, um, with, for example, autonomous farming machinery,
Yeah.
um, healthcare, public services, for example, parking, traffic management, street lighting, um, and all the existing application also will be affected, and services will be carried out more quickly and responsible. Um, so yeah, that's the impact of 5G.
So I guess
Then,
from what you say. Sorry, go on.
so we'll keep all the services that are already running on 4G, like communication, our everyday life communication services, like our social network and everything, will keep working, but it will be moved on an infrastructure, on a different infrastructure that is 5G. So all this data will use 5G as well.
Amazing. So there's lots of, I guess, there are a lot of, as from what you were saying, there are a lot of advantages, in adopting 5G. The reason, hence, today's topic is that, as you know, there has been the Chinese company HUAWEI has been in the news. Actually has been in the news for the past few months. It all started, for example, with let's go back. Try to say like a timeline for our viewers. Since the time of David Cameron, for example, actually David Cameron was the prime minister that, let's say, less than 10 years ago, inaugurated sort of a golden age of trade with China. Of course, because back in the day, they started to see China as a big emerging market with all its sort of, let's say, features and characteristics. So, the Cameron government, especially him and the Chancellor George Osborne, they focused a lot on sort of trading with China, and I guess we can say that this kind of golden era of trade with China, this is when it started. Although in a way, we can almost say that the UK, building the 5G infrastructure for the UK was probably inaugurated back then. When there was lots of kind of trade agreements, I guess, between UK and China. Then actually Theresa May, exactly a year ago, April 2018, that was probably the time when Huawei got on the front page, because she decided, despite concerns from her ministers and other I guess other counsel from other people, that Huawei would have a sort of an integral part in building the UK's 5G infrastructure. But although she said not the core parts of the infrastructure, the non-core, in spite, many sort of, well, actually a few of the cabinet members advised against. And then two months later, we go sort of to July 2019. So we're talking about like a year ago. She basically said, I leave to the next prime minister to decide the fate of 5G, and also to decide whether Huawei. Because all this sort of security concern were already bubbling up underneath the surface. So she started taking into consideration all these reports provided by the intelligence company saying, just be careful with 5G because, it can be risky. And Claudio, you will tell us later why, government sort of found it a big concern about this 5G and, the whole sort of saga around Huawei. And then, with, election in December last year, and then Boris Johnson in January basically said that Huawei would be responsible for up to 35% of the UK's 5G infrastructure. And then we had, that famous phone call with Donald Trump, which officials defined as apoplectic. Of course, US, like Australia, for example, and other countries have banned Huawei from using, from building 5G infrastructure in their country. So there was a massive U-turn by Boris Johnson, and then a few days ago, he basically decided Huawei, will not be involved at all in the UK's 5G. All the mobile providers will have to stop buying equipment from Huawei by the end of the year, and all their networks will have to be stripped off of Huawei 5G infrastructure by 2027. So there has been like a massive sort of U-turn. So my question to you, Claudio, is why are governments so concerned with 5G?
Yes, and this and now is the first question. This is a really, for me, is a very curious case.
Yeah.
5G technology is not a new technology. Well, if you consider that Huawei put, I think, 600 million on research, but when it was 2013. So it's and the technology, the study around the technology started 10 years ago. All the government, all the intelligence structure, they knew already in theory that this infrastructure is a strategic infrastructure, and all the communication, all the data we use in terms of governments and healthcare, defense, it goes on the internet. So we have had a lot of time to think about that. My question, what we are wondering is why this is happening now, that why we just woke up and then we understand that this is an industrial, this is a strategic infrastructure. This is a question. There may be political reasons behind. We don't know at the moment. But why they are concerned is because, as we said, data is this infrastructure will basically manage the data from every aspect of our countries. So that's the reason why. And why is it dangerous to put this technology in foreign country hands? Well, Huawei is a private company, but we know that in China there is no real private company. Governments has certain level of influence of its companies. So
Also, sorry to interrupt you. I think Huawei was founded back in 1987. I can remember the name of the person who founded it. And it was basically part of the. It was one of the. I think it was a technical officer for the People Liberation Army. So hence, I guess I don't know.
yeah, but this is true for every technology. I mean, it's not only about China. And what is the technical reason why we are worried about that? Because every software and every hardware, when it's designed and when it's implemented, uh, it's only just for the design and testing purpose. Developers and manufacturers, they add some little hidden accesses called backdoors. They
Yeah.
use only at the beginning, only for testing purpose, to for diagnostics. So I want to know as a manufacturer that everything is working fine, and I need access to the device to check what is happening there. If something goes wrong and I need to provide some assistance, I may need to enter the system and access the log files, so, which is basically some journals of the events happening within the hardware. So no one can tell at which level these access doors can give information of what's happening. I mean, we can potentially access all the data which is used on the network, and that's the concern. Basically, a backdoor is like a door of a house. It is a hidden door where you can access, from where you can access. And it doesn't matter the protection that you have in your house on your main door. So you may protect your house with a password. Sorry,
No.
back door, but the back door can be easily accessible from some people.
Can I
And
ask
this is,
you why can it be so easy accessible for some people?
yes, it can be any individuals that acts for himself or from governments of, we don't know,
Okay.
but technically it is possible.
Okay.
And this is not only a problem affecting governments, because this type of problem can involve the relationship between governments, but also relationships between the government and its own citizens.
Yeah.
So, I don't know if maybe we remember of we may have heard about the backdoor word when a few years back, when FBI had a dispute with Apple,
Oh yeah.
and because Apple refused to give access to FBI to the
Yeah.
backdoor on their
Yeah.
mobile phone, initially saying that we don't have such a thing on our devices. Our devices are secure, and this is not possible. And then, but I also remember that after a while, this just disappeared from the news. And why? Was this problem solved somehow? And why the FBI was only concerned about Apple and didn't make any noise about Android devices? Maybe there are backdoors on Android devices.
Of
Um,
course.
and this is a general problem. That means that it's not a problem between governments spying each other, but also governments relationship with its own citizens.
It's a bit like across, going back to what you're saying about the across the media coverage with Huawei has had so far. I mean, the one problem that everyone is focused about is security, as you just rightly, very clearly explained. And also, I mean, I was reading about how embedded Huawei is already in the UK. I mean, Huawei, it goes as far back as 2003. I mean, we know of Huawei phone, for example, mobile phone that's, you know, some people have. And also because Huawei was such a giant, it was probably considered, I think, China's first truly global company. Of course, you know, companies like BT and Vodafone, they jumped on that bandwagon to sign contracts with Huawei. Hence, you know, hence the problem with, you know, hence how. So basically, in the UK, and what Huawei has expanded so much that I think, correct me if I'm wrong, they've created a plant in Oxfordshire, Banbury, called the Cell. That intelligence agency were monitoring. You know, just to make sure that, you know, the software was working fine. You know, people's details and data were, you know, secure and sort of stuff like that. This is the magnitude of how Huawei is already embedded in the UK. So going back to your, and then, so it's all about concerns, security concerns, safety for the users. From a military perspective, is there any implication? Is 5G connected to military as well?
Well, defense may use their own yeah, I think they use their own communication system, and but data is not the only problem that we can have when we put this technology, when we put our data and our infrastructure in the hands of a single private company. For example, it's true that network can be remotely monitored, data can be intercepted, and information stolen. But at the same time, the whole network performance can be remotely controlled.
Totally.
And the maintenance as well. Once we give this infrastructure to a foreign company, maintenance can be delayed, for example. If something breaks, then we need to make sure that it's quickly replaced. And we are completely in this company's hands for that. And the last thing, if everything goes really wrong, the whole network can technically be switched off. And you can imagine what would be the impact
Absolutely.
of that on a country life. So it's not only about data.
Yeah.
Data are also risk, not only because of the infrastructure, and we will see later that there is another risk for data and information. Even if we keep using the 4G technology, data can be at risk as well. But yes, basically the defense using probably their own
actually
network.
Talking about defense, I was doing my research, and of course, as I said to you, the more media coverage across mainstream media was focusing on security concerns, user safety, but nobody talked about defense or military or defense. Sorry, only a few independent publications. There's a beautiful investigative reporting by an investigative journalist. I would like to share the screen. If I can, hold on. There you go. Actually, online there is a document for. Here you go. Hopefully, you can all see it. Yes, this is like an investigative reporting article by a journalist called Manlio Dinucci, and he basically says, I quote, because I think a congressional research service paper explains that this fifth generation mobile data technology, 5G, can have many military applications. One such application is for autonomous military vehicles. There is robotic air, land, and naval vehicles capable of autonomously performing attack missions without even remote control. This requires storage and processing, and then it goes on. The system can make possible new military operational concepts, such as swarming, in which each vehicle automatically connects to the others. And then he carries on, and then he says, 5G will make the entire command and control system of the US Armed Forces more powerful on a global scale. And I mean, people are free to read his article, which is online. And here you can see it's sort of the Congressional Research Service, which was presented, I think to the American Congress as one of the implications and uses of 5G for sort of defense purposes. So there is, in a way, there is more to it, to 5G, than just security and safety. There is more, there's the whole defense aspect. And it's actually, because, part of what we're trying to do as a Russell movement, to get people to think, to go beyond, what mainstream media say, or even read an article and think, okay, this is what they say, what do I think of this? Let me go and see other sources. So, in a way, what I've noticed that the military aspect, the defense aspect, has been sort of taken off mainstream media.
Yeah, and that's the question. Why we are thinking about that only now is not too late, but is late. We need a replacement for technologies like that. The other question that people are wondering at the moment: why is Trump forcing other countries to change their minds about Huawei? Why? Well, from a technical point of view, there is a reason. Say, for example, I call you using my phone, and I make sure that my phone is secure. Right? So this is what Trump is trying to do now. Is saying, no, Huawei is not. We are not using Huawei technologies in our country. But then, with my phone, I call you, and your phone, my allies' phones are not protected as well, well, we are exposed anyway. So I need all my allies to be on the same line. In terms of technology, we need to share the same level of security, and this is what I want.
This is why I guess Trump, as you said, was pushing for this kind of,
I read a lot about, we are, Trump, we are Trump colonies, so we need to do whatever they ask for. No, there is a technical reason for that. We need to rely on the same level of security, all of us. In terms of, when I say all of us, it means the same side of, the allies or they have to be the same technology.
Which I guess there's an intelligent there's an let's say there's an association of, it's called the Five Eyes, which is the five intelligence of US, UK, Australia, Canada, and New Zealand, if I'm not wrong. So they've basically all these. When Boris Johnson back in the day had said, "Oh, we'll give Huawei up to 35% of the UK's 5G network," reports were going around that they basically freaked out, saying no. It would have been, I guess, difficult for them to act in the interest, let's say, to protect people, from any kind of I don't know, cyber attack or data loss, whatever, or data hack, whatever there is. So that's why I think, going back to your point, this sort of the Five Eyes agency, they basically advised against completely Huawei being involved at all. And I guess that's probably one of the reasons, I don't know, which must have swayed Boris Johnson towards, completely ditching Huawei. And of course, pressures from, other precious allies like the US.
Yeah, in this case, I think we think it's completely understandable every concern about that. We're not talking about restricting the global market rules or trade rules for global market when we stop Huawei. If an infrastructure is so strategic, I think every country should be able to think about that and take actions. Is for the it just represents security and safety.
I guess if you ditch like a foreign company, you want to invest in your own company, like your own local.
Yeah, but that's the other question. Here we need political vision, and we need to act in time, and we cannot only consider everyday life and just seek votes. This is something that the governments of today has to plan for the next 20 years. And some countries are not doing that at the moment. And now we have a problem with that. There was something else I want to add about security and safety. This network infrastructure
Yeah.
is not the only point where we should consider. We're using now cloud technology, and we're putting our data in this cloud, which is not really clear what is it, but it's basically storage. um, is a network storage containing all the data we use. And some governments, for example, Italy as well, are planning to use cloud technology for government services.
Yeah.
And guess who are the candidates to offer this service to the governments? At the moment, the major player are Microsoft with Microsoft Azure, Google, and Amazon. And these are American companies.
So that goes my next question to you, actually. Is China the only country that represents a risk for the UK, for our country?
Well, as you can see now, if we use cloud services, and
Yeah.
it's not where technologies travels, but where the information is stored. We have to look also where we store this information. So these companies will keep our data. All the government's data will probably be stored in these services, cloud services. So this is a point of concern as well. Um, so no, it's not only China. Whoever is managing this information um, has an advantage, of course.
And I know there's another image that you'd like to show is the future of 5G, which I think is on the screen now. Sorry.
Sorry?
I think there's the next image that you'd like to show is the future of 5G. Can you take us through it, or sorry, I don't really see it.
Yeah, we can see it. Yeah, and we can see that this technology will affect every aspect of our life. Yes.
I guess it's all about managing, and also China not being the only country posing a threat to our country, but also, as you said, the private companies, like the ones you've mentioned, the Google, the Amazon of this world, they will have all the information, and that can also be a threat if not used properly, I guess.
Yes, it's a government and country security, but whoever is watching this video now wants to know what's the impact or my own life on that. It's not only government security, is our own everyday life that can be affected by that. If you think about that, we trust social networks like Facebook, for example. But I would like to remind what happened a few years back, I think in 2016, when Facebook exposed it users' data to researchers working at Cambridge Analytica.
Oh yeah, the big scandal, yes.
Well, it's a big scandal, but what does it mean? It means that these people using Facebook were being monitored. They whatever they were posting on the Facebook was analyzed to show them news and information to change um, to change the way of thinking.
Yeah, voting patterns and people's perceptions. Yeah.
Exactly, and this is not just a movie. This is happening now, and is happening to everyone. So when it comes to just to give an advice, a general advice, common sense advice, uh, all this technology is amazing. It's made our life much better, but we need just to be careful and aware. Let's read more. Let's get informed about, for example, just a simple question that I'm not going to answer, but I want to leave it as a question for people watching us. Uh, why some services like Facebook or TikTok or Instagram, why are these services free? And why Zuckerberg is rich if we don't pay? So this is a question we need to answer, to ask ourselves. And then if we start digging, then we will be more aware. And our way of using this information, these services, will change.
So, as one of probably the last question I'd like to ask you, as a Roosevelt movement, what kind of continuing what you've just said now, what kind of advice, apart from of course, getting more and more informed, try to read as much as you can on a topic. As I said to you, our aim is to get people's critical thinking up, to develop it, not just across mainstream media, but also independent media. You need to have like an overall view of what's happening on a certain topic. What would you suggest people? What would be your advice, or 3 advices?
Yeah, being aware of what's happening is the first thing. Is an active approach. So it requires a little bit of effort, but we need to stay informed first and be aware of the risks. When we are sharing information about ourselves, let's consider the network internet services are like our real life. We would never let anyone we don't know access our house. So let's consider that, stay informed, and share information with others. Everything else, I think, once we are informed, once we are aware, then everything else will follow. That's the first step.
Claudio, very last question as well before we sort of finish for the day. Do you think what's happening with HUAWEI and UK and China will this aggravate or maybe increase the tensions already bubbling up between China and the UK? Do you see any kind of what does the future look like to you?
Well, I think in this case that the infrastructure will be replaced because it's a real risk. From strictly technical point of view, I cannot say much about politics and what's going to happen in the future. If this will be part of some kind of negotiation for other things, we don't know. But from a technical point of view, if we want to guarantee the safety and security, network has to be under government control. Is a strategic infrastructure. So my guess is that the infrastructure will be the manufacturer will be replaced.
And also, I think if we're going to add some considerations, opinions on the political side of it, as I think it does what's happening with HUAWEI and pressures from Trump. It definitely falls between a kind of new Cold War that I guess that's taking place in the dark in quotes, between US and China, which is, I guess, not just a Cold War in the sense of, is a war, is a conflict, a clash between two sets of values. I guess, more about Western values, whereas against a different, completely diametrically opposite sort of set of values. And I think this is what's happening with HUAWEI. What I think is that what's happening with HUAWEI definitely falls in between those kind of conflict and clash. And then, let's see what the future holds. There were talks that, following what's happening with HUAWEI, China will rethink, because China and the General China Nuclear Power, which is another state-owned company, is investing in nuclear energy here in the UK. I think they've got a minority stake in a nuclear plant in the UK. I think in Somerset, and also they want to build a new sort of reactor in Essex. So that's all. This is a completely different topic as well, and let's see what the future holds. It's very hard for us to say. As I said, it's about politics, but also it's about business. Let's see what really from a political perspective. Let's see where the UK pragmatism sort of goes to. Gets up to, and also let's see for the future what the future holds. It's such a fresh kind of decision by the UK government that we still don't know what's going to happen sort of later in terms of repercussions and stuff like that. They were talking about, I don't know whether it was speculation about a cyber attack on the UK. Do you think it's possible?
Can we exclude it?
Exactly. No, but who knows?
Well,
anyway,
we have to consider possibility, but yes, it's possible. Is it probable? We don't know. For sure, the relationship between East and West now have changed recently. If we think about that Trump relationship, the American relationship with China has gone through different difficult times, not only for technology, but also for economy. We can call it a war, economic war, where Trump was imposing some rules on the trade. And the same is happening with technology now. So war, as we used to consider before, has changed over time. So economy is one field, and technology now is another field.
Yeah, and I guess you're right, totally right. He's definitely part of the kind of let's say Cold War in between. I guess two different set of values. Claudio, thank you so much for your wonderful expertise. Thanks for joining us today. I think we can sort of call it quits for today. Thank you all to all our viewers and listeners. And I think coming up at 9:30, you've got a daily press review with the Russell Movement Vice President Marco Moiso. And to all the viewers out there, I'll see you again next week, next Friday at 8 o'clock. Thank you very much, guys. Bye.
Thank you.